This recipe for an awesome French pancakes is sponsored by Square Griddle Pan. Nearly every step of this is something kids can do. I start with 2 cups of the flour and then I add more until I like the texture. Here is our milk. Kinda gross, but this stuff is magic in cakes. Now we crack in 2 eggs and beat those in. Melt some butter. So I get it partially melted and then swish it around to melt the rest. By the time that solid core is melted, you've got liquid butter that's not very hot at all. To call this stuff kitchen gold would be to overstate the value of gold. The extra sugar is more for the texture than for sweetness. It'll also make these chewier. No leavening, no baking powder, no yeast, nothing that will create gas and inflate bubbles to open up the structure. Oranges, before we juice them, we need to zest them, and the best tool for that is a microplane grater, though you could use a box grater. You're trying to scrape off the intensely flavorful and colorful outer peel while leaving the bitter white pith underneath. You can do it kind of haphazardly. You don't have to get every single molecule of zest off. You let it sit and let the flour hydrate for a few minutes. Well, would you look at that? This is a very cheap, flat, square griddle pan. This is what I use. Get 10% off with my link and code in the description. Every pan and every stove is different, but for me, a little south of medium is usually perfect. Just pour the batter out and it'll naturally spread. This just takes a few minutes to cook. You've got to wait until it's solid enough on the first side to flip without it falling apart. You can't be hesitant. If you are, you won't flick with enough force. There, you can see that it smelled my fear a little bit there. The rear edge did not clear the pan all the way when I flipped it, and now it's slightly folded under. That's fine. How do you know when it's done? Well, you can see when, if it's not a liquid anymore, it's cooked. Yes, I prefer fake maple syrup. Don't at me, Canada. Oh man, something so simple has no business being so good.